There is a man standing in a parking lot at 11 p.m. His motorcycle is parked perfectly, clean, covered, angled just right near the wall. His car is beside it, hood up. A flashlight balanced on the air filter. His hands are inside the engine. He has work tomorrow at 6 a.m. Nobody asked him to do this tonight. The car is technically running. It just made a sound this afternoon that nobody else in the family noticed. A faint tick, barely audible over the radio. His wife didn't hear it. His kids didn't hear it. He heard it. And now it is almost midnight and he cannot go inside until he knows what made that sound. Most people would look at this man and call it obsession. A quirk. Maybe a problem. But what is actually happening inside him is something psychology has only recently begun to understand. And once you see it clearly, you will realize this is not about the car at all. It never was. Here is the first thing you need to understand. When someone learns to ride a motorcycle, truly learns, not just balances and steers, but learns to read the road, feel the machine, anticipate what the engine is about to do before it does it, something changes in the brain that does not change. Back neuroscientists call it embodied cognition. It is the state where the body and the brain stop, operating as separate systems. The hands know things the conscious mind has not processed yet. The ears register a frequency shift in the exhaust note before the rider has formed a single thought about it. The legs sense a change in the chassis balance half a second before the road shows why. On a motorcycle, this is not optional. It is survival. A car surrounds you with steel and glass and distance. A motorcycle offers none of that. Every mistake is immediate and physical, so the brain adapts. It builds a sensory system so finely tuned to mechanical information that it cannot simply switch off when the rider parks the bike and climbs into the car. That is not a metaphor. That is literally what happens. The same neurological wiring that keeps a rider alive at 70 miles per hour is still running, quietly, constantly, when they are sitting in traffic at 30. And when that system detects something irregular, something slightly wrong in the hum of an engine or the resistance of a steering wheel, it does not send a casual suggestion. It sends an alarm. The man at midnight with the flashlight is not being irrational. His nervous system is doing exactly what 40,000 miles on two wheels trained it to do. It found an anomaly. It will not rest until the anomaly is resolved. But there is a second layer here that goes deeper than neuroscience. Motorcycle. Riders and car mechanics, and the person who is both, share a psychological trait that most personality frameworks miss entirely. They have a specific relationship with mastery, not success, not achievement. Mastery. The quiet, private knowledge that you understand how something works at a level most people never reach. That you could take it apart in the dark and put it back together and it would run better than before. This kind of mastery is not built in schools. It is not certified. Nobody gives you a document that confirms you have it. You simply know, and the machine confirms it by running correctly. For people with this psychology, the world divides cleanly into two categories: things they understand completely and things they do not understand yet. The second category produces a specific discomfort, not anxiety exactly, more like an itch that cannot be left alone, a question the brain keeps returning to at odd hours, in quiet moments. At 11 p.m. in a parking lot with a flashlight and a car that is technically fine, but made a sound this afternoon that nobody else heard. Motorcycle riders develop this trait earlier and more intensely than almost anyone else, because riding forces you to develop it. You cannot fake your way through diagnosing a bike. You cannot Google your way to confidence on a machine that will punish vagueness at highway speed. You have to actually know. And once the brain learns that actual knowing is possible, that patient attention and physical engagement with a machine will eventually reveal the truth. It applies that standard to every mechanical system it encounters, including the car parked next to the bike. Now, consider what this creates in daily life. Most people experience their car as a sealed system, a thing that works or does not work. When it works, they drive it. When it stops working, they call someone. The motorcycle rider cannot do this, not because they lack the number for a mechanic, but because their brain has already started diagnosing. Before they have consciously decided to think about it, their nervous system has cataloged the sound, cross-referenced it against their mechanical memory, and generated 3 possible causes ranked by probability. Calling a mechanic at that point is not just inconvenient. It is psychologically unsatisfying in a way that is difficult to explain to someone who has not felt it. Think about what it feels like to be handed the answer to a puzzle you were not finished solving. That is what the motorcycle rider feels when a mechanic says, "It was just the heat shield, we tightened it. You're good to go." The problem is resolved, but something is missing. The person was supposed to find that. Their hands were supposed to confirm it. The system, trained across years of mechanical attention, was supposed to run its process to completion. It did not get to. And at a level below words, that feels wrong. This is where the psychology gets genuinely interesting. Because this trait, the inability to leave a mechanical problem unresolved, the need to understand and fix rather than delegate and replace him, does not stay inside the garage. Watch how people with this profile handle everything else. They are the ones who read the full contract instead of signing where indicated, the ones who ask how the medication works rather than just taking it, the ones who want to understand why the project failed rather than simply moving to the next one. They extend the same patience to human systems that they give to mechanical ones. They sit with complexity. They return to a problem 4 times, not because they forgot the answer, but because they are not yet satisfied that they fully understand it. The motorcycle was the training ground, but what was being trained was a way of being in the world, and the car, sitting in the driveway every day, driven every day close enough to hear and feel, becomes the daily practice space for that training. It is not possible for these people to drive past a problem and leave it behind. The brain that learned to read a motorcycle cannot unlearn how to read a machine. Here is something almost nobody talks about. When a motorcycle rider fixes their own car, something happens that has nothing to do with the repair. For a period of time, an hour, an afternoon, a midnight session with a flashlight, they are back in the only cognitive environment where modern life goes quiet. No ambiguity. No office politics. No situations where the correct response depends on 17 factors and still might be wrong. Just a system with a problem and a person patient enough to find it. The work is physical. The feedback is real. The answer either is or is not correct, and the engine will tell you which. Psychologists call this psychological regulation through competence. The restoration of a felt sense of agency in a world that increasingly operates on abstraction and uncertainty. The motorcycle rider discovered this regulation early. Every time they diagnosed a problem on the bike, every time an engine that wasn't running began to run, the nervous system received a very specific message. You are capable. You can figure this out. The world responds to your attention and your hands. That message never stops being necessary, and the car is close. The car is always there, and the car, like all machines, will eventually make a sound that needs explaining. The man closes the hood at 12:43 a.m. It was the tensioner. He knew it was the tensioner by 11:20, but he stayed another hour because he wanted to be certain. Because certain is different from probably. Because the machine deserves the same attention he gives the motorcycle, and the motorcycle taught him what proper attention actually looks like. He wipes his hands, turns off the flashlight, stands there for a moment in the quiet. The car is fine. The motorcycle is covered. Everything is where it should be. He is not a man who cannot stop fixing things. He is a man who learned, on 2 wheels, at speed where mistakes are immediate and forgiveness is rare, and that the world reveals itself to people who pay close attention, has simply never seen a reason to stop paying it. The question worth sitting with is not whether you recognize this person. You do. The question is what it means that in a world designed to make us passive consumers of things we do not understand, some people still insist on knowing, still insist on finding the sound and tracing it to its origin and understanding it completely. What broke in us that we stopped? And what would it cost to start again?